Hey y'all, it's Dietra D, and thank you for listening to the Dietra D show this morning. I'm going to switch gears. This morning I was going to talk about the hypocrisy with a lot of Christians in the church, but I'm going to talk about something else this morning because of a story I heard. Now, I don't understand what's going on with young people, and I felt that way for quite a while. And when I say young people, I mean teenagers starting from the ages of maybe, I'll say 11 and up to early 20s, maybe to 25. But an Uber driver picked up, I think it was 5 young ladies. They were teenagers. I think all of them were 15, 16. And I think if I remember correctly, the Uber driver let them know that there was too many of them. His vehicle could not accommodate all 5 of them. So, some words were exchanged, and one of the young ladies hauled off and slapped the Uber driver after already telling the man that it was a girl, that they all were girls. She slapped him after telling him that I think she said she would kill him, something like that. So I guess fearing for his safety, the Uber driver shot the young lady 3 times. I think twice in each leg and then once in somewhere in her back. Now, the good thing is she is going to survive. We're grateful for that. Thank God. But why would you slap a stranger in the first place? If you're getting an Uber and there are several of you and the driver tells you that there's too many, you all are not going to fit in the vehicle, then the smart thing to do, the intelligent thing to do would be to say, okay, thank you. Get out of the vehicle and then order another Uber, and make sure that you order the correct Uber, because there's a way, they have options on there where you can do that, because I use Lyft a lot. So yeah, there are several options in there where you can actually choose the size of the vehicle that you want to pick you up. So that's what you do. You get out of the vehicle and you order another Uber. But again, they chose not to do that. So she slapped him, she got shot, and here we are. I do not know when so many young people, I do not know when so many young people became so disrespectful. And it's not even just about being young, it's just about having good common sense. Please keep your hands to yourself, because a saying that I've heard a lot and is so true, and I believe in it: you don't get to hurt or harm someone else and then tell them how to respond. Now, do I believe that the Uber driver was a little excessive in shooting the young lady? Yes, I do. But then again, that young lady, she caused that. She set this all in motion with her actions. Actions have consequences. And something else that I also believe: you don't start a story in the middle. I don't want to hear her mother or anybody else saying, oh, well, she was a girl and she was a child and he shot her. He's a grown man. I don't care. That doesn't matter. She had no business putting her hands on him. Number one, she's a child. Why are you, as a child, as a teenager, putting your hands on an adult? Even if he was an adult, keep your hands to yourself. And again, I don't want to hear her mother or anybody else coming out saying, oh, well, she's a good girl. Oh, she was just a child, blah, blah, blah. Again, that does not matter. She should have kept her hands to herself. And that goes back to what is wrong with so many young people. Who raised y'all? If you don't see a young person putting hands on an adult, you see a young person cursing an adult out, or out in public, tearing up somebody's property, like so many of these videos that are going around on social media. You see a bunch of young people in a fast food restaurant tearing it up for whatever reason, or out here fighting. It's just ridiculous. And I hate to say it, some of y'all gonna have some hurt feelings, but I don't care. A lot of this starts in the home. Because unfortunately, what I've learned is a lot of these kids are seeing this kind of behavior at home with mama, daddy, auntie, uncle, grandpa, grandma, whoever's raising them. They're seeing it at home. And a lot of these parents, they act just as bad, if not worse, than their kids, which is why they make excuses for their kids when they act like this. You need to start raising your children. Like I said at the beginning of my podcast, I'm a Gen Xer. So I remember I grew up in the era where, a village helped raise us. We had neighbors looking out for each other and their kids. I had great teachers, thank God. A lot of the teachers are a mess too, but that's a story for another podcast episode. But yeah, the parents, because unfortunately we have more and more kids having babies at early ages. We got grandmas now that are in their 30s and 40s, and it's just ridiculous. We need to get back to the kind of discipline that I had growing up. Because again, these kids are just out of control. And they also lack accountability. That's a big one with me, accountability. I absolutely cannot stand when people do not take accountability for their own actions. I don't care how old you are. Yeah, she might have only been 16, but she stopped being a child when she decided to put her hands on a grown person. It's just unbelievable. Get back to whoopings. And there's a difference between whooping your kids out of discipline and beating them. Nobody's talking about beating, but a lot of these kids are lacking discipline at home. They're just running amok. And then when they get out into the real world and they face some consequences, because let's face it, when you get out in the real world, a lot of people, they're not going to put up with your shit. They're not going to put up with the shit that your child goes out into the world and does. So if you don't want people out in the real world handling your children, then you need to handle them first at home. It's really sad. It really is. But yeah, I just had to touch on that, because when I hear stories like that, it makes me shake my head, and I have a mixture of sadness and anger. Sadness that the girl had to get shot in the first place, but then anger because, like I said at the beginning, she got shot because of her actions. And there's another layer to this, violence. A lot of young people nowadays, they're so violent. And I can't even put, y'all excuse me. I can't even put the blame for the violence completely on the kids, because I've been around some older people that are raising these kids that are just as violent. Why do so many people, kids included, want to get out here and want to solve everything with violence? Back when I was growing up, another thing that people did is they actually talked to each other. respectfully. If there was an issue, they could sit down and talk about it. Even if the conversation might have gotten a little heated, it never got out of control. But nowadays, you can't do that. I don't even like talking to people because too many people are just teetering on the edge. And that's another example of keeping your hands to yourself. You never know what somebody is going through. You never know when somebody might be walking an extremely fine line or, again, teetering on the edge. You put your hands on somebody unprovoked and you'll turn around and wind up not making it home that day. Keep your hands to yourself. That goes not just for kids, that goes for everybody. But especially the kids nowadays, since that's the focus of this show. But yeah, I just had to get that off my chest because it's like it's just out of control. It really is. It's out of control. A lot of young people, they just have no respect anymore for adults. They really don't. And they need to get some. Because when you out here in the real world, people are not going to tolerate your disrespect and your bullshit. So, I don't know. This might be a two-parter. Y'all let me know in the comments what you think so we can have a conversation. There might be a part 2 coming up because there's a lot more I gotta say, and there's a lot more to this subject. So, anyway, this is Dietra D, and I'm signing off for the day. Thank you for listening to the Dietra D Show, and I will talk to y'all next time. All right. Bye-bye.